Hello and thanks for joining. Most people associate El Salvador with pupusas, coffee beans, or Bitcoin, but those aren't the facts we'll cover today. Instead, we'll uncover the hidden gems that show the country in a new light. For even more amazing content, check the top right corner and help out by adding corrections or extra details in the comments. Fact 1. The buried village of Joya de Cerén. The site of Joya de Cerén is often called the Pompeii of the Americas, but it is actually far rarer than its Italian counterpart. When a volcanic eruption buried the village under thick ash nearly 1.5 millennia ago, it froze ordinary life in extraordinary detail. Unlike grand temples or royal palaces, what was preserved here are humble adobe homes, storage bins full of beans, kitchen utensils, and even manioc fields still planted in the ground. This gives archaeologists a unique snapshot of daily life among common farmers, showing how they cooked, stored food, and organized their villages. Now protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Joya de Cerén stands as a reminder that history is not only written by kings and priests, but also by the families who lived, worked, and laughed in the shadows of volcanoes. Fact 2. The Lighthouse of the Pacific. The Izalco volcano once earned the nickname El Faro del Pacífico, the Lighthouse of the Pacific, because of its extraordinary activity. For nearly 2 centuries, from the late 1700s until the mid-1960s, it erupted so frequently that sailors navigating the Pacific coast used its glowing lava as a natural beacon. Imagine a mountain that never seemed to rest, sending columns of fire and smoke skyward almost every night. A living lighthouse, guiding ships without electricity or fuel. Even today, the black volcanic slopes dominate the landscape near the city of Sahn-tah Ah-nah, and visitors hike its trails to stand on the very rim that once glowed for mariners far out at sea. Though it has quieted in modern times, the legend of Izalco as the eternal fire mountain still burns bright in Salvadoran culture and memory. Fact 3. The tiny volcano inside a volcano. Above the capital city of San Salvador rises the enormous crater of El Boquerón. This massive volcanic bowl was formed during a dramatic eruption in the early 20th century. But what makes it especially fascinating is what sits inside, a smaller cinder cone called Boqueroncito. It is, quite literally, a volcano within a volcano. Standing on the rim, visitors see steep walls plunging hundreds of feet into the crater. And right there, in the middle, rests this miniature cone of hardened lava and ash. Few places on Earth offer such a rare geological sight. Hikers often marvel not only at the breathtaking natural beauty, but also at the sense of standing before nature's power in miniature and full scale at the same time. El Boquerón is a favorite escape for locals who want fresh air, city views, and a reminder of the forces shaping their land. Fact 4. The turquoise crater lake of Sahn-tah Ah-nah. The towering Sahn-tah Ah-nah volcano, also known locally as Ee-sahl-co, hides a stunning surprise at its summit. Inside the vast crater lies a vivid turquoise lake, its color shifting with the sunlight, and volcanic minerals dissolved in the water. The lake is not just beautiful, it is highly acidic, a mixture of sulfur and other minerals that make it dangerous to swim in, yet mesmerizing to behold. On clear days, the lake glows like a gemstone set into the heart of the mountain, framed by the rugged crater walls. Hikers who climb the demanding trail are rewarded with sweeping views over coffee plantations, the Pacific coastline, and of course this surreal lake that looks almost otherworldly. It is one of the most iconic sights in El Salvador, a perfect blend of natural danger and breathtaking beauty, carved by the forces of fire and time. Fact 5. The only country without a Caribbean coast. El Salvador holds a unique distinction in Central America. It is the only nation in the region without a Caribbean shoreline. While neighbors like Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua touch both the Pacific and the Caribbean, El Salvador's coast is entirely along the Pacific Ocean. This small geographical fact has shaped the country's history, trade, and even culture. Instead of splitting its maritime identity between 2 oceans, El Salvador has always looked westward, developing its ports and fishing traditions along the Pacific. Today, that focus has helped it become a surfing paradise, with waves at Punta Roca and El Sunzal drawing international visitors. Though its neighbors boast Caribbean coral and islands, El Salvador proves that sometimes one ocean is more than enough, especially when it delivers sunsets and surf breaks of world-class quality. Fact 6. Power from the depths of the Earth. El Salvador is one of the few nations in the world where geothermal energy plays a major role in everyday life. Thanks to its chain of active volcanoes, The country has tapped into underground steam and heat to generate electricity that powers homes, businesses, and even parts of its public transportation. In fact, geothermal plants regularly produce more than 1/10 of the nation's energy needs, a remarkable figure for such a small territory. The plants at Ah-nah-pah and Beeht-COHN are well-known examples, using naturally heated water from deep inside the earth to spin turbines. This reduces dependency on imported fuels, keeps costs lower for consumers, and makes El Salvador a surprising leader in renewable energy. Walking near one of these facilities, you can often see white steam rising from vents, a reminder that the earth itself is working to keep the lights on. Fact 7. The national dish with its own holiday. In El Salvador, the humble Pupusa is more than just food. It is a national symbol. These thick corn tortillas, stuffed with cheese, beans, pork, or a mix called revuelta, are cooked on a griddle until they are golden and slightly crisp. They are always served with curatido, a tangy cabbage slaw, and a mild tomato sauce. Pupusas are so central to Salvadoran culture that in the year 2005, the government declared them the official national dish and even created a holiday to celebrate them. The second Sunday of November is National Pupusa Day. On that day, streets fill with vendors, families gather around camales, and the smell of masa fills the air. Pupusas are also inexpensive, often costing less than $1, which makes them a beloved comfort food accessible to everyone. Few dishes capture the heart of a nation quite like this. Fact 8. The colorful national bird. The national bird of El Salvador is the torogos, known in English as the turquoise-browed motmot. This bird is instantly recognizable for its brilliant blue-green feathers and its unique racket-shaped tail that swings like a pendulum when it perches. Locals often see the torogos resting calmly on fences or trees, proudly displaying its colors as if it knows it is the country's emblem. Chosen as the national bird in the late 1990s, it symbolizes freedom and beauty, since it never survives well in captivity and prefers the open skies. Spotting one is a treat for visitors as it adds a flash of tropical elegance to coffee plantations and forest edges. Beyond symbolism, the torogos reflects the vibrant natural world of El Salvador, a reminder that the nation's cultural identity is deeply tied to its landscapes and wildlife. Fact 9. The twin national trees. El Salvador is unusual in having not one, but two national trees: the Maquilishuat and the Balsam. The Maquilishuat is famous for its stunning pink blossoms, which cover the tree in vibrant color during the dry season and decorate the streets like soft confetti. Meanwhile, the Balsam tree is treasured for its resin, long harvested and exported for use in perfumes, medicines, and ointments. Together, these two trees represent both natural beauty and economic heritage. Declared national symbols in the late 1930s, they reflect a balance of aesthetics and practicality. Walk through the countryside in spring, and the Maquilishuat paints the landscape in bright pink hues, while the Balsam continues to serve as a silent provider of valuable natural resources. Few nations tie their identity to trees in this way, making El Salvador's choice both unique and meaningful. Fact 10. The misnamed Balsam of Peru. For centuries, global trade has known a fragrant resin called Balsam Peru, widely used in perfumes, medicines, and even flavorings. Yet, despite the name, much of this Balsam never came from Peru at all. It came from the coastal Balsam forests of El Salvador. Harvested carefully by stripping bark and boiling the resin, it became a valuable export during colonial times and beyond, bringing Salvadoran forests into the world economy. This mislabeling came from shipping routes through Peru, which gave the resin its misleading name. Even today, the Balsam tree of El Salvador remains the true source of this aromatic product. It is a perfect example of how a small country can quietly shape global industries, even if it doesn't always get the credit. Salvadorans take pride in knowing that one of their natural resources has been touching lives around the world for centuries. Fact 11. The coral reefs of Lohs COH-bah-nohs. Off the coast of Lohs COH-bah-nohs lies a rare treasure for Central America: true coral reefs. While most of the region's Pacific shores are known for rocky coasts and strong surf, this protected marine area shelters colorful coral formations that provide a home for countless fish and marine creatures. Divers and snorkelers can encounter parrotfish, rays, sea turtles, and a kaleidoscope of reef life that feels more Caribbean than Pacific. For El Salvador, these reefs are especially important, as they represent one of the only places in the nation where such delicate ecosystems exist. Conservation efforts now protect the area from overfishing and pollution, allowing both locals and visitors to experience a vibrant underwater world. Lohs COH-bah-nohs shows that El Salvador is not just about volcanoes and waves. It also holds hidden jewels beneath the sea, waiting for discovery. Fact 12. The vital bay of Hee-kee-LEE-scoh. On the southeast coast lies Hee-kee-LEE-scoh Bay, a vast network of mangroves, estuaries, and islands that serves as one of the most important ecological areas in Central America. Recognized as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, this bay provides shelter for countless species, from migratory birds to rare marine mammals. Most famously, it is one of the most critical nesting grounds in the entire Eastern Pacific for the endangered hawksbill turtle. During nesting season, locals and conservation groups join efforts to protect the fragile eggs and guide hatchlings safely to the ocean. Beyond wildlife, Hee-kee-LEE-scoh also supports fishing communities and small-scale ecotourism, balancing human livelihood with environmental care. Paddling through its mangrove tunnels, visitors experience a world of calm waters, hidden bird calls, and the sense of stepping into a living sanctuary where land and sea embrace. Fact 13. Reviving the Nahuatl language. The indigenous language Nahuatl, once spoken widely by the Pipil people of El Salvador, nearly disappeared in the 20th century. Decades of repression and social stigma silenced many speakers, leaving only a few elders with fluency. Today, however, there is a growing movement to bring Nahuatl back to life. In towns like Santo Domingo de Guzman, preschools run language nests where children learn basic words and songs entirely in Nahuatl. Community radio stations broadcast in the language, and local groups publish storybooks to keep vocabulary alive. Though progress is slow, this revival carries deep cultural significance. It reconnects modern Salvadorans with their ancestral roots. Hearing children once again speak Nahuatl in playgrounds is more than just language preservation. It is cultural healing and a proud reclaiming of identity. Fact 14. Coffee varieties. Born in El Salvador, El Salvador is not just known for producing fine coffee. It has given the world entirely new coffee varieties. In the 1930s, a mutation of bourbon beans was discovered in the highlands of Ahuachapán. Farmers named it Pacas after the family who first cultivated it, and it quickly spread because of its hardiness and high quality. Later, Salvadoran agronomists crossed Pacas with the giant Maragogipa bean from Brazil, creating a hybrid called Pacamara. This variety combines large bean size with rich flavor, and today it is prized by specialty coffee roasters around the globe. These innovations show how Salvadoran growers shaped global coffee culture, not just through export, but also through science and creativity. Every time someone enjoys a cup of Pacamara in a cafe in New York, Tokyo, or Berlin, they are tasting a legacy born in the volcanic soils of El Salvador. Fact 15. The mighty Ee-sahl-co eruption. The vast caldera of Ee-sahl-co, just east of San Salvador, hides one of the most powerful eruptions in Central American history. Around the middle of the first millennium, it produced the Tierra Blanca Juven eruption, blanketing much of the region in white volcanic ash. The event was so massive that it devastated ancient settlements, disrupted agriculture, and likely influenced climate patterns far beyond El Salvador's borders. Today, the enormous crater is filled by a serene lake, where locals fish and tourists enjoy boat rides, unaware that they are floating atop the scar of a cataclysm. From its peaceful waters rise small islands, but beneath the surface lies a reminder of the Earth's destructive power. Ee-sahl-co stands as both a place of recreation and a silent witness to the geological forces that shape not just a nation, but entire civilizations. Fact 16. Kolah-shahn-PAHN, the Salvadoran soda. El Salvador has its own iconic soft drink called Kolah-shahn-PAHN, often described as a sweet blend of cream soda and bubblegum. Created in the mid-20th century, it quickly became the country's most beloved soda, a drink that tastes like childhood and family gatherings. For Salvadorans abroad, finding Kolah-shahn-PAHN in a Latin grocery store can spark instant nostalgia, reminding them of home with just one sip. It is more than just a beverage, it is a cultural symbol. Bottled in bright orange, that has traveled with the diaspora to cities like Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. Unlike global brands, Kolah-shahn-PAHN carries the pride of being uniquely Salvadoran, made with local flavor and tradition. Ask almost any Salvadoran, and they will tell you, it is not just a soda, it is part of their identity, connecting generations through its unmistakable taste.
Fact 17. Intipucar, the Little Washington of El Salvador. The town of Intipucar, located in eastern El Salvador, is famous not for its size, but for its extraordinary connection to the United States. For decades, many of its residents migrated to the Washington, D.C. area, sending back remittances that transformed the town. Walking through Intipucar, you can see large American-style houses built with money earned abroad, sometimes standing empty but proudly maintained as symbols of success. There is even a monument dedicated to the migrant, honoring those who left but never forgot their roots. Local culture reflects this bridge. US dollars circulate freely, English words slip into conversations, and returnees bring back American customs and clothing. Intipucar shows how migration can reshape a community's identity, turning a small Salvadoran town into a place where two nations' cultures blend seamlessly, creating what many call the Little Washington of El Salvador. Fact 18. The Fiery Festival of Neh-HAH-pah. In the town of Neh-HAH-pah, every August, residents celebrate one of the most daring traditions in Central America, the Bolas de Fuego, or Balls of Fire Festival. This event reenacts a 17th century volcanic eruption that once threatened the town. To honor their survival, locals now take to the streets at night, hurling flaming rags soaked in kerosene at each other in a spectacular display of fire and courage. Though it may sound chaotic, the festival is highly organized, with safety measures and participants who train to handle the fireballs. The sight of dozens of glowing projectiles streaking through the dark sky creates an unforgettable spectacle, watched by thousands of spectators. For Neh-HAH-pah, it is not just a festival, but a proud ritual, reminding everyone of resilience in the face of natural disasters and of the fiery spirit of Salvadoran culture. Fact 19. Punta Roca, a surfer's dream. On the Pacific coast near La Libertad lies Punta Roca, one of the most famous right-hand point breaks in the surfing world. Its waves peel long and clean, offering rides that can last hundreds of yards, a true paradise for experienced surfers. For decades, this spot was a hidden gem, known only to locals and a few adventurous travelers. But today, it regularly hosts international competitions as part of El Salvador's Surf City initiative. The town around it has grown with surf shops, hostels, and seafood restaurants, yet the wave itself remains the star. Surfers describe Punta Roca as fast, powerful, and unforgettable, placing it alongside legendary breaks in Hawaii or Indonesia. For El Salvador, Punta Roca is more than just a beach. It is a calling card to the world, showing how this small nation can compete with the biggest names in global surf culture. Fact 20. The first Bitcoin nation. In September of 2021, El Salvador made history by becoming the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, alongside the US dollar. This bold decision was announced by President Nayib Bukele and quickly drew worldwide attention, sparking debates among economists, tech leaders, and ordinary citizens. The government rolled out the Chivo digital wallet, offering a bonus of $30 in Bitcoin to encourage people to try it. Supporters hailed it as a step toward financial inclusion, especially for the large percentage of Salvadorans without bank accounts. Critics worried about volatility and potential risks to the economy. Today, Bitcoin is accepted in many shops, gas stations, and even for some government services, though everyday use is still mixed. Whether seen as visionary or controversial, El Salvador's Bitcoin law placed the country at the center of global financial innovation. El Salvador may be small, but its contributions to global culture and innovation reach far beyond its borders. One of the most impactful inventions was the turbocina, created by engineer René Núñez Suárez. This efficient cooking stove reduces firewood use by more than 90%, saving families money and protecting forests, an everyday tool that quietly changed lives across the developing world. Another breakthrough is the Salvasol solar lamp, a simple yet powerful invention that provides light, charges radios and phones, and gives rural families independence without relying on costly electricity. Even in the military field, El Salvador surprised the world with the Koh-lah-shahn-PAHN, its first domestically produced armored vehicle, showing resourcefulness under pressure. But perhaps the country's oldest global gift is indigo dye, once the lifeblood of its colonial economy, coloring fabrics across Europe and beyond. A tradition now revived by artisans with modern designs. Finally, ancient ingenuity is revealed in the bolinas, clay puppets over 2,000 years old, which show that Salvadoran creativity has been shaping culture since long before modern times. These inventions and traditions remind us that innovation doesn't only come from superpowers. Sometimes it grows in small nations, quietly leaving a mark on the world that lasts for generations. Thank you so much for watching this video on Andy Explores the World. I hope you enjoyed discovering these rare and surprising facts about El Salvador that go far beyond the usual stories. If you learned something new, please give this video a like. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss more fascinating content from around the world. And as always, I truly value your comments, so share your thoughts, corrections, and even more fun facts down below. Let's keep exploring together.